back to Shred Guitar in the 80s. Today we're going to talk about legato guitar. I've been doing so many picking videos and things. I thought it'd be fun to do some where we're not picking so much. And I thought I would show you some of my favorite legato runs and techniques, and talk about some of the players that have really influenced me and who I consider to be the best legato players from that era. I thought it'd be fun to start out with a little run, give you an idea of some of the ways that I approach legato playing. And the run goes like this. And I'm actually starting with my second finger on 10 and I hammer to 12. But a lot of times when I play these licks, I'm actually thinking of the downbeat, like in this case being 12. So I actually start on an offbeat. So it goes like this. And what that is I hammer on 10, then I hammer to 12, pull off to 10, go ahead and pull off to 8, go back and hammer to 10, pull off to 8, pull off to 7, hammer to 8, pull off to 7. So it's... And then I just, in this case, run it down to key of C. And when I get to the bottom, I switch it up. I go. So I hammer 3 to 5, pull off to 3, pull off to 2, go back and hammer to 2, pull off to 3. Then I just go on the 6th string straight down the scale, 5, 3, 1, open. This is all in the key of C. Let me do it real slow. Initially, when I was playing guitar, the first real exposure I had to legato type playing on a large scale, someone who really took it and ran with it, was definitely Van Halen. The first Van Halen album was just mind-blowing for me, and it was just chock full of all sorts of cool legato runs. Little Dreamer is a great example where he goes... That was really a staple in a lot of Eddie's playing back then, that 5-lick. Eddie would also do these really cool Dory runs where he'd kind of pick part of the notes and legato the other part, like... And that lick's just out of the Dorian scale mixed with the blues scale, and here it is slow. So if you analyze that lick, it's a pick note pull off, then a down up pull off. So in the first few albums, Eddie did a lot of really cool riffs like that. And then by the time he got to Fair Warning, you can almost hear some fusion elements of Holdsworth and players like that in his style, which is really cool. And the Fair Warning just has some amazing legato-based solos. On the song And Push Comes to Shove, Eddie does some amazing wide stretch intervals that's very similar to Allan Holdsworth soloing, like say on In the Dead of Night. And it's just, what it is he's playing 12, 15, 19 on the 5th, on the 4th, and then he plays 12, 15, goes back and plays the 19 on the 4th, then on the 3rd plays... So Eddie was just huge for me, and then he would come out with like 1984 and do songs like Girl Gone Bad and The Incredible Drop Dead Legs, just full of all sorts of cool slippery legato runs. Around the same time, Warren DeMartini came out with Out of the Cellar, which I talk about Warren a lot on my channel here. And that 3 note per string fast legato stuff that he did on this first album just was mind-blowing for me and a huge influence for me. The really cool thing about that line is Warren was mixing like Mixolydian and Dorian together and the blues scale to create this really cool sound. So if you take like the Dorian mode, like E Dorian, E Dorian is exactly the same as D major. And you mix a blues scale with that, you kind of come up with this cool little symmetrical scale here, which Eddie did a lot of, or here, which Eddie, Warren, and all the LA guys did also. And what Warren did a lot was he'd throw that major third, creating kind of a Mixolydian sound just briefly, and then go into the Dorian blues. And here it is slow. So Eddie Van Halen and Warren were huge influences on me, as well as like Randy Rhoads, who did a lot of really cool pull-off stuff, and George Lynch. But no one really put it on the map like Allan Holdsworth. I was going through my vinyl collection and I pulled out this really cool Holdsworth album called The Things You See that he did with Gordon Beck. And he's really clean on this album, playing some just beautiful stuff. But Allan was just, he took it to a level where it was just like a voice. He would just play things and it wasn't even technique for technique's sake. It was just all about the music. And Allan was definitely the king of legato in a league of his own, and he still is. He's kind of in a separate category from everyone else. For me, just listening to Allan's phrasing and the fluidity, and he would actually do something that was very hard to do with legato, is he could just cruise 16ths and keep that groove without breaking the stride of the beat. With legato, it was great. Or he could just play real floaty, kind of Coltrane kind of things. It was just amazing. And that's kind of a symmetrical thing where you're playing a half step followed by a minor third interval. And this moving up in half steps. You do like a and you could move it up around like that, doing that kind of pattern, like almost the Yngwie pattern. Another guy during that period that really had a big influence on me was Bill Connors. Bill Connors was just a fantastic legato player, and he put out 3 albums that were just brilliant in this style, kind of in the Holdsworthy style, that I just loved, and his brilliant musicianship and great songs, and I still listen to this all the time, and his tone's wonderful on this. If anyone hasn't heard the Bill Connors 80s kind of fusion stuff, I really recommend getting it. His legato technique was just wonderful. Today's album pick is a kind of shreddy album from a band that's not usually thought of as a shred kind of band. And this is Animalize by Kiss. And I was the biggest Kiss fan when I was growing up. I mean, I was a Kiss kid in the late 70s. I had scrapbooks. I mean, Kiss was it for me. This album Kiss put out with a guitar player named Mark St. John, who I remember reading about in Guitar Player magazine in the Spotlight column, and he was called Mark Norton then. And he really rips on this album. He plays really fluid, melodic stuff. I really like it. It kind of has a Rockman kind of tone, very 80s tone. The songs are hit or miss on this album, but I enjoy all of them because it kind of takes me back to that period when I bought it. I bought this right when it first came out. I think I got it for Christmas one year. I've had enough Into the Fire. He does some amazing guitar playing. Heaven's on Fire, the single, really doesn't have a solo. Get All You Can Take, another one. Lonely as a Hunter, I think might be Bruce Kulick. Either that or Murder in High Hills. I think he actually did a solo or two on this album. Under the Gun, Mark just rips it up. Girls in the Night was one of the MTV hits with a really nice guitar solo. And While the City Sleeps is another kind of a fun song. I really like that one. But this is a fun one to put on. It's very 80s and everything, but all sorts of cool tapping, very nice vibrato bar work, very kind of slippery kind of feel to a soloing. If you haven't heard this in a while, I recommend maybe pulling it out and jamming along with it for fun. Kind of go back to the 80s a little bit with the band Kiss. Well, thanks a lot for joining me today. I sure had a blast showing you some hammer-on pull-off stuff. I want to thank everyone who's liked and subscribed to my page, and if you haven't, please do. I'm really having fun doing this, and just hanging out with you all is it's a lot of fun for me, so thank you. And have fun hammering.